All right, we want to welcome everybody to the Colosseum. All right, it's the first interview, man. I got my good buddy Thomas Davis. He's gonna jump on here with us, man. A lot of people know him as TD Smash. This is the first time we're doing an interview. I decided to open up this podcast a few months ago. I had to just play with a few ideas of how I was going to go about doing it, come up with the theme, the name of the podcast. And so I decided I'd try to reach out to all of my friends and family, not friends and family, but friends that I've come across in the industry over the last 10 plus years of competing and get some perspective, see what it's like in their life, touch on some social matters, just pretty much open up the floor, have a good conversation. And so TD, man, is one of my good friends going back now several years. He was gracious enough to agree to do the interview, so I definitely appreciate you. Today's episode is going to be brought to you by Zeus Pre-Workout. One of the most intense pre-workouts you're going to ever come across. Laser focus, crazy energy, and you do not have that crash following your workout. You got to love the Zeus pre-workout. Also, the Mason Johnson beard care line. All right, the Gentleman Collection. Beard balm, beard oils available right now. The link to both those websites will be in the caption. All right, y'all check that out. So let's jump right into it, TD, man. So tell me a little bit about where you come from, bro. Like, what's your humble beginnings, as they like to say?
Okay, well, I'm a Midwest boy, man. I'm from South Bend, Indiana, also known as Notre Dame, Indiana, because I live like not too far from Notre Dame. I used to literally walk there to go to tailgate, so that's how close we are to Notre Dame. Yeah, man, I'm from up here. I'm a football guy. I love football. I've always been in sports. I've been competitive all my life, but powerlifting seemed to grasp me more than anything else. So, that's been my thing. I've always liked football, basketball. I did track in college for a year, and powerlifting's been my apple. So
I heard that, bro. Now I do know from just looking at your page, you're definitely a family guy. You're big on family. Your mom and dad, you post about them every now and then. But I asked this question. So when you were born, bro, how big of a baby were you?
Okay, so my mama, like a shout out to my mom, I love her. She's giving me like 3 different types of weights, and I haven't really seen the official thing. But my guess is I think I was either like 11 or 12.
Okay,
maybe. I could be wrong, but like I said, my mom, she's so big, she don't even know how she did it. So she had told me 3 different types of weights before. I don't even know, but I'm gonna say probably like 11 or 12.
I feel you, man.
So,
I remember the first time meeting you. We were at the LA Fit Expo a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Me, you, Leroy, Big Jew, and we'll touch on them in a little bit, man. But I remember seeing you thinking, this is a big ass boy, man. Yeah, man. But I'll tell you what's crazy when people finally meet you. One thing I have noticed about being around you, and I can admire this about you, man, is you have a switch. You're the most humble, nicest guy in the world. But you definitely have that switch, and when you go there, you definitely go there. But it's not in an asshole kind of way. It's not in a not an intimidating way. You're focused. You go focused, and you have to admire that. And I think sometimes as competitors, especially, a lot of times people see you in your most focused state. They see you on the platform. They see you at in competition. They don't get a chance to meet you, off the grid. I like to say, we're just kicking back, having fun at the Airbnb or where we're at. We've had the time to do that, and. So I mean, I think that's kind of cool. You got that kind of balance in your personality, man. So let me ask you. So, what side do you think you get that from? Your mom, or your dad, in terms of your personality?
My mama, she always was firecracker. Well, probably my dad. I probably get that, like, because he was always like a really chill person. But I know if he needs to turn it up, he turn it up. So that's where I get that from.
Now, do you think? Would you say that you had pretty humble beginnings, or were you okay? I mean, I know a lot of people come from humble beginnings. Myself, it was just me and my dad. Which sometimes they can create a little bit of that fire and that drive in you. So would you say your beginnings were like that?
I say so. We didn't grow up the richest, obviously, and it was okay for me, but I was appreciative of the things I did have, especially being younger. Because even the state that we were in, I knew people that were doing worse than me, but it still made me, know that I was taken care of, and I was cool. I was cool with that. So I shout out to my parents, man, and they did what they could.
Yeah. Now, did either one of your parents play any sports?
My mom did when she was in high school. My dad was like he played ball a little bit, and he was also a track star too. My dad was actually a singer. He had a little group that he was going around with, and he would sing. I mean, I don't try to sing because my voice would be like, I get a couple notes here and there, but I mean that was what my dad did. That was his thing. He was a performer, so.
That's dope, man. Did you ever see him perform? You ever heard him perform?
No, but he would sing sometimes. When I was little, and I could hear his voice, so that was always cool.
That's cool. I have no musical talents whatsoever. I can't hold a note. I can barely hold a beat. So I did see something on your page I thought was kind of funny. I looked back at your page last night, a little bit this morning, in preparation for today's interview, and it said in high school you're the first person to have at your high school with a 400+ pound bench. Mm-hmm. And I think you said the form wasn't that great. Your ass is off the bench. It's a little bit of bounce going on. I think it was 465.
465 before I graduated. Yep.
So when you were in high school, what was your weight in high school? Like, how big were you in high school?
I was probably like 320 in high school.
Okay. And I asked that question because I know a lot of kids who are younger, they see people like yourself who compete at such a high level, and they wonder at what point does the strength kick in. So I'm looking at some of your numbers. I mean, man, dude, you competed 22 times, I think, if I counted it right. And you started, I think, when you were 2015. So how old were you when you first started competing?
I was probably 19.
Okay, so shortly out of high school. I got you. So for me, myself personally, I was in my mid-30s before I started thinking about powerlifting. That was because I didn't have any kind of powerlifting influence. Nobody around me powerlifted. I didn't know anything about it. I was at the gym all the time, and a buddy of mine just asked me, to maybe get into doing it. So for you, was powerlifting something that was kind of prevalent in your area, in your school, or like how did you know that powerlifting was a path you wanted to follow?
So I always talk about this too, man. Like I didn't really understand powerlifting. I just love to lift heavy, and I love to bench heavy all the time. I used to skip leg day. I used to do that. I was guilty of skipping leg day. But there was a guy, because I had the knee surgery when I was a freshman. And when I would go to the doctor's office, there was this guy, and I seen a picture of him, and it was autographed or whatnot. And he had a bunch of weight on the bar. Mm. And turns out his name was Big George from around our way. And he was an equip lifter. He was a single ply guy, and he was from our area. And I was just like so fascinated, like, gosh, like that's a lot of weight. Like I thought I was strong until I seen the picture of this dude. He's from here, like that's cool. And since then, I'm like, man, maybe I should start like getting into stuff like that, because I mean, I'd like to have my picture hung up somewhere where I got an autograph. I want to be able to do that. So, I've always loved to lift heavy, but it was kind of like football stemmed it, but I just like always clinged on to it, even when I was doing track or whatever the case may be. Like it just stuck with me. So seeing that picture kind of inspired me, man. Shout out to Big George. Rest in peace, Big George, man. He's the one who got me to really want to get into it. So he was like the spark that got me to go.
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of people here talk about the new generation, and a lot of kids now in the video games and such. And for myself, I'm a little bit older than you, but when I grew up, my idols were Arnold, Stallone. Hulk Hogan was I was a huge Hulk Hogan fan as a kid. I'm not a wrestling fan anymore, but I was a huge Hulk Hogan fan. So, I always wanted to be swole. All right. I wanted to be, I wanted to be able to pose and flex. So I was into lifting weights too, but I just never had anybody to steer me towards like powerlifting. That was never something I thought about. So it was pretty awesome. So your first meet, bench only, right?
Yeah.
That was what, 2015?
Like, yeah. Or no. 2012, I think.
Well, okay.
It was one of those old school federations, like 80, PDFA, WW, something, I don't know. But I think I did like 3 something. So the story behind that too was I was starting to train at this gym outside of high school after I got out of high school called Michiana, a workout. And I was benching in there, and this old white dude came up to me, and I'm like, what's he about to say to me? Like, I don't know this guy like that. And, he just like seemed like he about to say something to me. And he's like, are you doing the bench competition coming up here? And I said, yeah, because I actually signed up for one. I seen that there was one locally. And he said, "Have you ever powerlifted before?" I said, "No, I lifted a bunch of weight." And I had 4 bills on there. I'm thinking I'm about to show this old man what I'm about to do. Mm-hmm. He said, "Well, I've done a few meets. Turns out he was a world champion in IPF, and he knew a little bit more than what he let on at first.
Yeah, we're humble.
Exactly. He told me to pause 405. And I'm thinking, okay. And I've done 405 for a couple reps before, so I'm thinking like I'm not worried about 405. Here we go. I come down with it. Boom. Then he tells me to press it. And I go, whoop, and it comes right back down on my chest. And I was like, wait a minute, hold on. Like, what's happening? Like, did you do something? And then from there, man, Tony Horvath, that's his name. And he took me under his wing too. And he showed me how to start powerlifting correctly. He was that guy, man. And that humbled me. That 405 on my chest humbled me real quick.
Yeah.
So
So did Tony, did he end up being your first coach? How did you prepare for your first competition?
He ended up helping me out, and I don't think I got past 300 at meet, or maybe I did. I'm not sure where I got my first meet, but I just remember I think they said I set like a state record for my age group or whatever the case may have been, or whatever the case was. And I was like, cool, but I was like, I want to continue to go. Like once I have the first meet, you know how it is. Once you have your first meet, it's like, boom, where can I go from here? Like, especially the ones that are really ambitious and very competitive. Like you think like, what else can I do from here?
Yeah.
So that sparked me to really go after that.
Yeah, it definitely is addictive, man. I recall my first one, and because you have to prep for a meet, and then when you peak, your body's beat up, but mentally that's usually when you're the most psyched. So like right after the meet, it's like I want to compete again right now. Had to sit out and deload and all that, right? To get your body back right, man. So as far as your idols, so you mentioned George, now you mentioned this guy Tony. I think they sound more like mentors. Can you say that you have any idols in the sport of powerlifting that you think that you look at and be like, okay, when it's all said and done, when I hang it up for the last time, I want to be mentioned amongst these names of people?
My favorite powerlifter of all time. Well, I technically have two.
Okay.
One is everybody's favorite powerlifter of all time. That's Ed.
Yeah.
Ed is a big mentor in my game. Like even right now, I talk to him all the time. And Brandon Allen, that's always been one of my guys. Okay. Brandon Allen, just the way he trains, and I loved how, he would go classic raw for a long time, and then he would start putting his gear on. Because I think a lot of guys forget, like, you got to be strong without your sleeves. You got to be strong without your wrist wraps. You got to be able to do things without those protectors to get everything strong, And, seeing how he did things, like, it always inspired me. And I loved his energy. Ed, I mean, come on, what can you hate about Ed, man? Like, he a little stumpy dude walking around that he'll still kick your ass at 60 years old.
Yeah.
Homeboy, man.
I got to meet Ed for the first time at the bench competition that we did, last year during the pandemic. And you're right, he's short, he's unsuspecting, but you look back at his numbers and some of his videos. I actually saw a video of him last night, man. He had posted on his page. And he was deadlifting like 730, but he was explaining he was injured, and he was explaining the process of, I think, lifting through an injury. But you're right, man. He's a ball of fire. So now I'll tell you a funny thing about Brandon. I've never met Brandon in person. I've always admired him from afar because he's a hell of a powerlifter. I mean, you can't deny it. But I remember the first time meeting Brandon. It was at the Kern in San Diego, 2017, I think, maybe. So I say maybe that was the first time seeing him. He walks in, I was like, shit, this motherfucker about to fuck it up. But no, he's mad cool, man. So sports, you play football. What position you play in football?
I was nose guard, so I'm right up front.
Okay, you had that fire in you.
You got to be a little crazy to play nose guard, bro. You had to be a little tweaked up to play that.
Exactly. Now, you say you went to college. What college did you go to?
I went to Bethel College, just a little small NAIA school here in Mishawaka, and I did track. And actually went to NAIA Nationals on a fluke throw. I don't know how I did it, but I did discus. I did shot put, discus, and hammer. And I don't know how I was able to get this throw out the way to qualify for nationals because I was not that good at discus, but I made it fly somehow and I finessed it and I made it to nationals on a fluke. So
now, did you have any aspiration to go further with your track and field career? I mean, shot put, discus, hammer. I mean, I know guys who've gone from high school to go to college and they qualify for Olympic trials and try to go further. So was it ever an idea for you?
No, because at that time I was just so drawn to powerlifting, bro. Like I would literally get up, go to class sometime, and go to track practice. After track practice, I eat and I go straight and go to powerlifting. I do some powerlifting. So I would like powerlifting was always on my mind. It kind of took over. And I think if I didn't do powerlifting, I probably would have wanted to go to, doing track and making it more of a career for me. But I couldn't stop powerlifting. I couldn't stop going like how I was doing it. So and actually track helped me a lot too with just being explosive. And I think that's like that's my game. That's how I powerlift. I'm an explosive lifter, and that's what's making me, making these numbers go the way they are. So I think track for, the experience I had with it and how I lifted and my coaches I had and teammates. And it's definitely helped me for my powerlifting career.
Now, were your parents always supportive of your powerlifting? Or I only ask because, powerlifting is a sport that a lot of people don't understand it. And even for me, it took my dad a little while to understand the sport to really kind of get on the bandwagon. So were they supportive of it from the beginning? Did they kind of get it? So
yeah. I always like to lift. And my mom, because I had anger issues, I mean, still dealing with them now, but powerlifting and lifting in general kind of helped me not be so angry and want to fight people all the time. So, my mom was always supportive of me going to the gym instead of going out and fighting. Like that was me. I'm cool, calm now. I've mellowed out, matured a lot. But when I was younger, like we gonna bump. Like I'm cool with that. Like I love to fight, and obviously that's dangerous. Cats get killed now for fight because everybody got a gun now and they can't fight.
Yeah.
So so I'm glad I've chilled out on that because I've probably been dead by now. Because
so in high school, so I guess your time in high school, you so I guess it's around the same time you're talking about. You were pretty. You about the shit, I guess, when you were coming up during that time. Did you have anybody that kind of kept you stay in line? I know you mentioned on your page one time that Mr. Hammond was one of your favorite teachers, and I was curious when I saw that as to why. Now I'm hearing you talk about it. Wondering, was he influential in maybe kind of changing your direction or trajectory of how your life went?
Yeah, Mr. Hammond was a good teacher I had, but my track coach, Mr. McCarthy, that was my dude. Like I was cool with my football coaches; they were pretty cool, but at the same time, like they didn't understand I had some stuff going on, so I couldn't give football my all like I really wanted to, and I just had some stuff going on, back then. They didn't understand, and one of these days when maybe I could talk to them, they'll understand, but I couldn't give it my all like I wanted to, and so I don't think they really want to give me their all, which I understand. Like, yeah, why would you? But Mr. McCarthy, he seen that I had something going for me, and he would always pull me aside and have to talk to me, blah, blah. And I graduated. I did what I was supposed to do. So he always kept me in line.
Yeah, I know you and I, we talk, just personally off, and we always talked about trying to be a positive influence for people, especially in the youth. And I think that's one thing today that a lot of people give up on kids kind of early. I recall, I never had any real issues because my dad was real strict. So, he kept my ass in line. But, I do recall growing up and being in school with kids who probably didn't have the same kind of, privilege that I had, but teachers, would kind of take the time to try to work with them. And I feel like, nowadays people get written off pretty easily. So, you're going to be a fuck up. So we're just going to let you do that. And sometimes you need somebody like you said, your track coach, who can kind of help bring you back in and kind of get you on the path. What was it about Mr. Hammond though? Because I think he, for him to be your best, I guess the best teacher you say you ever had. I was just curious when I saw it on your page, and I know my favorite teacher in school and why that was. So what was it about him?
So Mr. Hammond, he was always a really, really cool dude. And he taught religion, and I always just liked his vibe, and he seemed down to earth. And I went to school at a private school, obviously. So my mom didn't want me to go to public school. She knew how I was going to be. So having him like that, him and Mr. McCarthy, and a couple other teachers too, man. It wasn't just those guys, but those guys for sure. Like I definitely looked up to them for sure. They're just different, and then they understood me, I think, more than the other teachers did.
I got you. What was it like growing up in Indiana? Because I'll be honest with you. Look, we've hung around. I love everyone. Anyone who knows me know I love everyone. But I have to admit, you're the first brother I ever met from Indiana. So, so I didn't know very many of us were up there until I met you. And then of course I come up for the competition. I'm like, okay, it's kind of cool up here. And the only other person I ever known that have any association with Indiana, let alone South Bend, was I played against a guy in high school. Tell a quick story, and I'll tell you who he is. And if I guess you're a Notre Dame fan growing up there. Okay, great, right? So, as a kid in high school that played for my basketball rival, but he played football too, and I also played football. But growing up, I never knew how great of a football player was because they were our basketball rivals, but we only played them once my entire time in high school in football. Okay. Because they weren't in our district or whatever the thing be. And when I remember playing against him, okay, he's tall, kind of lanky, a little unorthodox. He's a decent basketball player, which is the most time I ever saw him. And he always kind of quiet. And back then in high school, just to be honest, he looked a little funny. He had a kind of a funny shaped head. All right. And people kind of joke on him a bit. All right. But I'm pretty certain he got the last laugh. When I'm talking about Justin Tuck. Justin Tuck played defensive end at Notre Dame, went on, of course, win a Super Bowl with the Giants. And he and I actually got somewhat cool during the recruiting process, both being from Alabama, meeting each other on a few unofficial visits. But yeah, man, so I'm assuming Justin was a fixture up there at Notre Dame when he was there.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely. He lost.
But yeah, so growing up in Indiana, like, what was that like for you? Well, okay. I said, what's the climate like in Indiana? Like, in terms of just how are people? Because I've only met you. I know a couple of guys from East Rice Muscle who I'm cool with now. Great people I've met. But what was it like, as a kid growing up there?
Okay, let me put it to you this way. You know where my house at. So let's say we go 20 minutes to the west. You're gonna be all in the hood. All in the we're an hour and a half away from Chicago, so we get a lot of cats from Chicago to come out here and live here. Whatever the case may be, I don't know what they're doing, but they live out here. So and they usually go over to the west side, South Bend, whatever. But you go 15 minutes the other way, and you see horse and buggies. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. You see the Amish. Like I go out of my way sometimes just to I'll take a 30-minute drive just to go get some donuts from these Amish folk.
Yeah, they make some good, yeah.
Yeah. Like who is this? Big money. Now they like me, but it's weird like the dynamics here, man, because you got your really, really country, want to be country people, and then you have your super hood people. Like it's very diverse here, I say, to say the least. You have a lot of interracial couples. Obviously, my wife she's white, so I'm part of that group. So, but it's like I said, it's very diverse here, super diverse. One second you could be in the hood, and then 30 minutes later you see in the horse and buggy.
Yeah.
Farm and whatnot. So.
Yeah, I mean, I was around, you and your wife, and being an interracial couple. I know that I'm here in Alabama, so it's not really. I think people have a misconception of what Alabama's like sometimes. It can be some areas, obviously, where certain things are frowned upon. But I mean, for you and her, I mean, was it tough? Was it difficult for you? I guess having I guess being in an interracial relationship, or was it pretty much kind of just in your area is pretty common?
It's common, but you still have those people that are old school and like there's both sides too. It's not just white people. People out there. Yeah, black folks are like, why you know, like, because she loves me, she prays for me. That's all that matters.
Man, she definitely super nice. And I think that's the thing about you too, that when I first met you, I think I remember the overalls. I was like, okay,
yeah,
all right, this kid. So I'm from Alabama. Think, okay, we might have something in common. We're a little country, right?
Yeah.
But when I got to know you, dude, like you're super nice, you're super humble. And I immediately learned that you're a lover of all people, of all social classes, all ethnicities. And I think that's one reason you and I hit it off, because I can appreciate that. But you gotta tell me where the overalls came from. Like what happened with the overalls?
I've always loved overalls. I've always liked to look like, even like in different styles. Like even I've even seen Pop wear some overalls to make it look good. Like no homo, he may look good, but like no offense, like, but he may look good. I'm like, damn, overalls look nice. With the Timbs and stuff like that. I'm like, I like overalls too. They're comfortable. You got all the pockets. You can overalls. I like them, man. And I mean, that's what we see out here in the Midwest. You see people overalls. I like the style, man. I kind of want to bring it back in my own little way. So,
yeah. I mean, it definitely worked for you. I couldn't pull the overalls off. I know I could, but
yes,
I don't know, man. I don't know.
yes,
You mentioned Pac. I remember in the '90s when everybody rocked the overalls with the one strap down, which
yeah. Do that with some Timbs.
I might try to pull it on. I might try to bring it back. Find me some high tech boots from back in the day. All right. But I definitely think it became part of your brand, and people kind of started associate you with it, and it worked for you. It definitely worked for you. I think it definitely. And I seen you and Big Jew. I think you got Jew in a pair of them a couple times.
Oh yeah.
So how did you and Julius, like, I mean, I feel like for a long time people may have considered you kind of the little brother to Julius, right? And I've been around the two of you, and I've been around, and I know you guys are great friends, so I know the dynamic is not that, with the two of you. But for people on the outside looking in, maybe give them an idea of what it's like, the relationship between you and Jew, and kind of how they came to be. Because I know you guys are y'all just bros. It's not like, it's not a, I'm sonning him, he's sonning me, like y'all just really, partners like that. But give people who don't know a little bit more of the dynamic.
Like me and Drew, man, like ever since we met, which was a few years ago, like we just straight up clicked, man, and we've always had a respect for each other, because how we got, people tagging me in his videos like, oh, look at this guy, he's catching up to you, or he's doing this. Like me, like how I am, bro. Like I'm not no hater. Like I like to see people grow, because guess what that means? That's something for me to catch up on to. And if I can't catch up on, guess what? That's cool. Somebody will, and that means that we're evolving as humans, especially in the sport. It's cool to see when people get break these records and do things. Like I like that. Like it doesn't have to be me. I don't have to do every record. Like I would like to have a couple records, but I don't. It doesn't have to be me all the time. So when I'm dead and go, somebody gonna probably get my stuff too. That's okay. So me and him, we've always just clicked, man, and we've always been real with each other. And people try to compare us, bro, but it's like, man, you can't compare brothers, man. With me and him right now, especially, we're striving for two different things. Like everybody's like, well, now you're down, maybe you start working on your 800-pound bench. Like that's Julius's thing. Let Julius support Julius right now while he's trying to break this barrier. Nobody's done this. Don't try to get me to go on the bandwagon. I don't let him do his thing.
Yeah.
Like I don't want that. That's what my brother wants, and I'm gonna support him till I die. Like even if he wants to do it while I'm in recovery, I'm still gonna lift off for the man, and he knows that. So, it's just people always try to compare us too, man. And I'm doing full power now. That's my thing. I'm not bench only anymore. My boy's doing his thing, and I'm so proud of him. He's come a long way from his story, with his recovery and addiction, and doing what he was doing. That's all. I just want to see my boys prosper, man, and I'm just glad to have a brother like him, and like I got people like you around too, man. Like that's one thing about powerlifting, but like don't compare me to nobody. Support everybody. That's what we need to do.
And it's tough because it is a competitive sport, so it's very easy to slip into the hole of comparing yourself to people. I'll fall victim to it myself, and I think that every time I've done it, it always ended bad, because I find myself stepping outside of my zone, doing what's best for me. And I'll admit, but before I met, the two of you, I had the same perception. I was like, okay, here this guy is, this guy TD trying to be the next Julius. But again, I got around you guys, when I finally met you, like, okay, man, I like this. Like, I like this energy, because he pushes you, you pushes him. You push him, and it works very well for the two of you. And I've loved seeing both of you grow, man. Like I said, I'm a little older, so I'm kind of on the backside of what I'm doing with powerlifting, but to see young brothers like yourself and Julius still doing this thing, and I got to get him in the Colosseum. I got to get him at some point to tell his story, because he has a hell of a story that a lot of people don't know about. you know, and when you know Julius' story, you definitely can appreciate where he's come a lot more. So I definitely got to get him in here, man, and do an interview. But tell me this: the last time he went for the 800-pound attempt, you were there, you lifted him off, you were there at Wrigley Field. So a lot of us know, a lot of people don't get a chance to see what goes on behind the scenes, let alone an event of that caliber. So
Right.
for whatever you can share, what was it like leading up until the first handoff that day? Like what was his mindset, or what was the energy like around everybody? Did anything good happen? Anything bad happen? What do you think? How could you compare that day? Because I mean, that was a huge day for powerlifting. I mean, Wrigley Field, national television. I mean,
this is my thing. I think this is what I love when I say this too. I think sometimes like the whole TV thing messes it up, because when you involve TV, especially when it's live too, you jeopardize your time on what you're supposed to do. And so, like, you're on their time at this point, and it's like, oh, now you can do your lift. It's like, well, we're ready. This is how we do our thing. And I think that kind of messed him up a little bit. Also, too, like that man, he works his tail off, like, to provide for his family, and he's always a busy dude. He travels a lot. I think he just needs to regroup, focus a little bit in, and I think he will. Next time he touches it, he's gonna get it. I don't have no doubt. Even with him missing it, I can feel the power he has it. I think there's a couple of things he's going to work on. Me and him talked about it. Like, I think my boy is super flat on the bench, and he's still pressing the weight he's pressing. He has no arch whatsoever. His leg drive is very minimal, and he's just like, whoop, with anything in his hands. So I think once he works on a couple of technical things, 800 won't be a problem for him at all. Like, I think he's going to fly just as fast as when he did 781.
So when somebody who's your boy like that, like you say, you refer to him as your brother, and I like to say, geez, like, he's one of my bros too, man. How does it make you feel when you're, because none of us can escape social media. It is what it is. So how does it make you feel when you know the backstory, you know what's going on behind the scenes, you actually know what he's capable of doing, and you see people who don't know the full story, who don't know what goes on into the sport, who don't know what goes into the training, who try to compare him to other people, or try to say, he's never going to do it, or this is, when they speak negatively of it, how does it make you feel as one of his bros? Because I know it upsets me at times, and I know he handles it very well. But for yourself, how do you feel about it?
Me personally, I look at it as, who cares what they think?
Yeah.
Because none of y'all are doing even a fraction of what he's doing.
Yeah.
Why do you have an opinion? It's like the fat dude that sits on the couch and runs his mouth about a football game. What are you doing with your life? Yeah. You sit here and watch what we do. Don't worry about what we do.
Yeah.
No, not picking on fat people. But
yeah.
I mean,
yeah. I feel you. But I
speak on it.
Yeah, but but I tell people too, and I use this conversation. I used this analogy yesterday. Again, I'm maybe telling my age a bit, but I'm old enough to remember Kmart. I don't know if you remember Kmart. All right. So, there could not have been a Walmart without a Kmart. Even today, there's not a Walmart without a Target. And so, when people want to make comparisons of Julius, I think it's necessary. They're guys who are trying to catch him and trying to do what he does. But I think it's good for the sport too, overall, to have those kind of comparisons. Now it's kind of become a bit of a race to who's going to do it first, in some instances. And I'm right there with you. I think he's right there at it, man. I mean, a few technical changes, and you're right, bro. Like he's a raw, just flat bench, just it's incredible. And for those people who sit at home or sit behind their TV screens, or they sit behind their phones, and then they make comparisons or speak negatively of him, I don't think you understand what it's like to be in person and watch that kind of weight on somebody's chest and watch him move it, or to know what 800 pounds even feels like. Like, I know it's like to squat 800 pounds or to deadlift it, but to have it over your head. And that's even with you. I mean, bro, you if anybody go to your page, anyone who's never been to TD's page, who's going to see this interview for the first time, we're going to put his IG link in the caption, and just go. If you want to see somebody toss around 600 plus pounds on a bench press on a consistent basis, and you never even felt it, I don't think people understand it. So that's a good segue for me. So when you finally hit 600 pounds on a bench, like what was that process like for you? Like, what did you feel like the first time you hit 600? Because I mean, now you're at 7. So I mean,
I'm gonna tell you about the story about 600. So a lot of people don't know this story either, but I was a stepfather to a child. His name was Bryson, and his dad wasn't really involved in his life, or whatever. And I was with his mom, and when we got together, like I pretty much became dad, and that was like the coolest thing ever. And Bryson passed away in June of that year that I hit 600. And I've been struggling to hit 600, bro. I've just been struggling to hit. I know I had the strength, but I just been struggling to hit it. Mm-hmm. Him dying, I don't know what it is, bro, about me, and when it comes to bad times, but when I have like shit hit the fan for me, like my switch,
yeah,
my switch goes, man, and I turned my switch up, and I cranked up, and he died in June, and I hit 600 like an opener. I'd say, what was it, almost a month after. And like I said, I've been struggling. It had been taking me every time I tried. But I just remember that feeling after I hit it. Like, I feel like I could have done it for a double that day.
Yeah.
That's how fast it went off my chest. And it sometimes takes, people don't know how to go through adversity, man. I've been through a lot of stuff in my life, bro. And I think that I've used those bad times to really fuel this fire. And I think if a lot of people understood how to do that, I'm not saying you need to go through bad things to get better, but you allow that when you have those times to make yourself get better.
Yeah.
And that feeling of hitting 600, bro, it shook me.
Yeah.
I think I have more gratitude hitting that 600 than I did the 700. Now I'm thinking about it.
Wow. Okay. I mean, when you put that story to it, it makes a lot more sense. I'm pretty sure that it was a lot more meaningful because of that. And I've seen you post Bryson a few times on your page, and I even before today, we talked a bit before the interview about it, but I was always kind of curious about the story. But sometimes you never know how to approach certain topics. I'm glad you mentioned it, man, because obviously you loved him. Obviously you cared a lot about the kid, and so you, I can definitely understand now how that 600 would probably mean more than a 7 at this point. So when you're getting ready for competition, everybody approaches competition a little bit differently. All right. So you've gone through prep, 12 weeks of prep. All right. And your body's beat up. All right. It comes meet day. So what's your mindset meet day? Like, when do you hit the switch from the time you get up that morning? Like, when does the switch turn on? And like, what's your process to that opening lift? Now you're being full power, that opening squat. From that point on, what happens in your head?
My switch goes as soon as I wake up. I'm like, today's the day. Like, that's my first thought. Today's the day. All this work you've been putting in, time to do it. Mm-hmm. So, well, I'm envisioning everything that I told myself I was going to do. I started thinking about it. And I started obsessing about it. And when I say obsess, I obsess about it. Mm-hmm. And I really just get into the groove of the meet as I'm going to the meet, and I'm thinking like how I'm gonna warm up, how I'm gonna stretch. I'm just thinking about everything, and I'm thinking positive thoughts. But I'm also nervous as hell. I got the in the morning, but I'm here trying to stuff my face, and I'm thinking about everything. I'm thinking about it. I get there, I warm up, I start stretching. I'm thinking about it. Sometimes I have a little doubt, but then I get the doubt out of my head, like, shut up. Like, you got this. You're here. We're going to do this. Once I get my opener, game over.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why my openers are usually very conservative. Just because I don't want to be that person that bombs out because my opener was too heavy.
Yeah.
I want my opener to be something that I can smoke if I'm sick.
Yeah.
So that's how I think about it.
I've bombed out in a national meet before, so I know how that feels. But that's another conversation off topic, off camera. So what's your favorite hype song right now, man? You're in the warm up area. You're grabbing the bench grabbing the bar for the first squat warm up of the day. How do you start the process off? I've talked to different guys. I know everybody knows Jamal. Jamal has a crazy deadlift. Everybody knows what Jamal is. And we were talking one day, and I hope he doesn't mind me sharing this, but he likes listening to R&B. All right. That's what he told me. So for you, what's your thing?
I can see that with Jamal.
No, right?
Himself. I like that boy.
Yeah, Jamal's cool as hell. I like Jamal too.
Um, me, bro, I'm hype. Everything I got going in my brain is just strictly hype. So I'm a really big Jeezy fan, like old school Jeezy, like Trapper Die, all that. Because I grew up on that. I understand that, you know what I'm saying? So, but I also listen to a song by Biggie, and depending on how I'm feeling that day, it'll either really hype me up or it'll make me cry to the point where I'm pissed. So either way, it works. Yeah. It's called "Sky's the Limit," and you know the song "Sky's the Limit" because that beginning reminds me of my mom talking to me, and like I think about my mom and my family every time I lift because like I feel like I failed a little bit because I should have probably played football, and I think I had the potential to go pro. And that's always been like one of my resentments too. Like I should have played football for the sake of my family, but I'm glad I probably didn't because even now, like my mom and my wife think I probably had CTE from that and a couple of car crashes I've been into, like, you know, whatever the case may be. But I always think like I gotta make this work for them. So like hearing that voice before I go and that song, period, this is a cold song anyway, man. You put everything on the bar, I'm gonna do it.
You're gonna crush it. So you touch on Jeezy, Trap or Die. You say, you know, you kind of live that. So I don't know if you're able to kind of give a little more detail on what you mean. You say that you kind of live that life, or maybe you experienced it, maybe you actually were part of it, or you just kind of saw it from afar. But what do you mean when you say that?
I've been around some things.
I got you. So the car crash, I never knew that, man. So you had a couple car accidents.
Yeah, like nothing super crazy. Well, one of them, they were like surprised I walked out, but I crashed my SUV. I had a Trailblazer, and I went head on with this. Well, my front side, my driver's side hit straight onto the side of this truck, and like my head went boom. Like I thought my mom hit me. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I thought mom's hit me, and I'm like, bro, and I had a concussion out of this world, bro, and I'm like, golly, like everything was just weird in my brain, you know, and I mean, I walked out, I was okay, but I mean, like I said, I used to hit all the time. You know, back in the day playing football before they made these rules up, that's all we did was hit with our heads.
Yeah,
you know, that's all we did. I'm on the line, so I'm making a swim move or I'm bull rushing. My first instinct is to hit you with my head to get you down. I'm 300 pounds, so of course it's going to work. So I'm going to do it. So I'm not going to get low and try to tackle you. I'm going to crack you in my head and I'm going to just get on top of you. I think I did that a little bit too much. You know, it comes with that, man. But I mean, I have no regrets, man. I'm still around. So
yeah. Speaking of that, man. So I grew up in that same area with you, and it's funny. Look at the new rules they have, and I'm sure you were just like me. I was always taught to see what you hit. All right, if you see what you hit, you got to lead with your head, right? So what's your perspective now on football? I mean, because I personally don't watch football very much for personal reasons, but I especially don't really get a chance to enjoy it now because I feel like it's a little soft. I understand the reason behind it, with the issues of CTE. I feel like I may have suffered some CTE myself. But what's your take on modern day football, if you even want to call it football now?
I get what they're doing. I do. But I think a lot of it comes down to like letting the guys be the guys, man. Like you're not stopping people from boxing or getting kicked in the face from UFC. So why are you stopping these guys from, tackling each other?
Yeah.
And even sometimes there may have been times that you may not have meant to crack somebody with your helmet, but guess what? You do the NFL, you get that big old fine and you get kicked out of the game.
Yeah.
It's like when what you've been taught, you gotta reteach it. And it's a point where I'm not even sure if I want my little man to play football. Cause if he does, like he's gonna do rugby for a while because that's how they tackle like the correct way.
Yeah.
But he'd have to do that for a while so he'd get used to it. So, but then again, I'm making sure his neck is strong as all get up so he can absorb a little bit of that shock. And, like a lot of kids they never worked on their necks. Mm-hmm. So, things like that, I think that could have probably prevented some almost head injuries. I never really did like neck specific things, but people don't understand how strong your neck is. and how it should be strong. So especially when you're doing a collision sport like that. But I don't really watch it that much either. I do watch sometimes, but not as much as I used to.
Yeah.
I miss like the guys like Ed Reed coming down, smacking somebody in the face.
Tell me about it.
Ray Lewis, because I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan, so seeing those guys, who's a big fullback that played for the Buccaneers, bro?
Scott.
Bro.
Yeah, that was my man. I loved him. Beast. Beast. Exactly. He's a beast, man. I actually I watched the Mike Allscott highlight tape the other day on YouTube. Just at random. I went down a rabbit hole. I was looking at some Sean Taylor stuff that I was looking at because they know they retired in Jersey. And then I got on some Ray Lewis highlights, and then I ended up on Mike. Yeah, man, Allscott was the guy, dude.
Bro, give him the ball.
Just give him get out the way. The my take on it is I feel like, and I played defense. You played defense too.
Yeah.
As a defender, you're on attack mode. It's defense, right? Yeah. So as much as it is that you're trying to make it safe for guys, I feel like it also puts defenders at risk because now they have to check up. They have to be a little more careful. They can't really play full speed, and playing the game, if you're not playing full speed, you're more apt to get hurt.
Yes.
So I don't know. I mean, there has to be a balance, obviously. So I don't know. So you're speaking about Ravens fan. So Jackson, what do you think about Jackson, man?
He is great. I just think he needs a little bit more experience.
Yeah.
I think a couple more years, and then we can talk about him winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I got you. I think he's in the MVP talks right now. He's doing crazy.
Easily. He took Mike Vick's record already.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like just his IQ too. He's a very smart quarterback. He's not like, typical like he has the IQ of a traditional quarterback, and he can run.
Yeah,
like, dude's nuts.
Yeah. So, and speaking of that, so for many years, and of course we've surpassed this era, many years ago, due to people like Warren Moon and Mike Vicks of the world. For a very long time, you didn't see a lot of brothers, a lot of black men playing quarterback.
Yeah.
What do you think about, in our society, how people take the whole judge a book by its cover? You look at Jackson, and would you expect him to have a high IQ? Would you expect him to be smart? But then you find out he actually is. He speak well. He can run an offense. He can run an NFL offense, which is, you got to be smart to do that. So, what do you think about in our society where people tend to judge you maybe by the way you look before getting to know you?
Well, the joke's on them because I'm all smart. I mean, people get caught up in stereotypes and stupid stuff like that because they read things on Facebook and they think they're smart. So, if we just have to continue to do what we do and be excellent. And I think that's what it is, man. And seeing guys like him doing what he's doing, it shuts a lot of people up.
Yeah. So, I mean, kind of staying in the same vein of the NFL, most recently Jon Gruden's been in the news, and I think a lot of stuff's come out. So when you read that story, when you first time you start hearing parts of it, how did it make you feel? As a
So I don't know too much about it. I know. Well, I'm gonna tell you what. Jon Gruden's actually from where I'm at. He went to Clay School here.
Did not know that.
Yeah, that's where he went. So I heard that he said some homophobic things like 10 years ago.
Yeah. Essentially, and this is the gist of it. There's an investigation on the Washington football team, formerly known as the Washington Redskins. And in the midst of this investigation, like several 100,000 emails have been pulled for this investigation. I think they're investigating on maybe some unethical activity amongst that organization. And Jon Gruden's name pops up because he's emailing some of his buddies who work for the organization. I think his brother may have worked for the organization at the time. And so they come across his email thread, and it has, some homophobic slurs and some racial innuendos being used. And it was 10 years ago. So, some people feel like 10 years ago, it shouldn't be worth talking about. Some people feel otherwise. So that was pretty much kind of the gist of it. So what do you think about, bringing up something on somebody from 10 years ago? Is there a point where it shouldn't matter, or what do you think?
No, I don't think there's a point where it shouldn't matter. However, we have this issue with cancel culture, and shout out Dave Chappelle for addressing that with his last stand up. But It came out. We all know most things that happen in the dark are gonna come out. Period. So watch what you say. If you feel some type of way, you feel some type of way. I get it.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks the way that you may think, and that's okay, But at the same time, if you made a mistake, apologize.
Yeah.
Especially if it was 10 years ago. Did you actually hurt anybody? Like, did you physically harm anybody? Did you hurt somebody's career? Did your words do something to that nature? If it didn't, then let the man apologize. Let him be embarrassed in his words. Now people know what he actually thinks and let it go.
Yeah.
Because to cancel somebody for something that they did 10 years ago is stupid. If you know me 10 years ago, I'm a whole different person.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm a whole different person 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's everybody. Nobody's the same. We all change in some type of way. So to get it mad at somebody for something 10 years ago, knowing that we've all changed, unless it was completely heinous and something like that, like you slaughtered a family or something, let it go. Like, why spend energy on that? That's how I feel.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of cancel culture, man. I hate it. And I put a post up about the Gruden thing, and I think the thing that bothered me the most about it is I definitely think he should be held accountable for whatever he did back then. Only for the fact that I didn't know. Now I guess for me, I want to say, okay, let's investigate. Let's see, did you ever make any decisions that affected other people's lives based off your views? So like you say, unless that you cut a guy because you thought he was gay, maybe something like that. But I'm with you. If you change and you genuinely apologize, I can dig that. I think the part about it that maybe bothered me the most, I have to be honest, because and anyone who knows me know that that I don't see color as much as I see personality, right? And I have a plethora of friends I have friends from a plethora of different backgrounds and races and religions and everything. But just as a black man, I was a little bothered by the fact that I felt as if the whole thing was going to skate through when initially came out. He made some racial slurs, and it really wasn't even a racial slur. It was more of an it could have been taken a lot of different ways, but that was going to skate over. But then when it came to the homophobic comment, that's when he got canceled. And like I put in my post on my page, not to say that women or the LGBTQ community are less important than the Black community, but it was a little bothersome to know that it would have gotten maybe pushed to the side otherwise.
Exactly, and that's a big issue. But like, I will say the only thing right now that I kind of agree with on the cancel culture is, and a lot of people from my way are going to disagree with me, but I think the R. Kelly thing is perfect for cancel culture. And the reason why I say this, what is R. Kelly? He's an artist, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is his music based off of? It's R&B, sexual stuff.
Yeah.
And you see what kind of sexual relationships he has. So why am I supporting a dude that's probably making music based off of his sexual experiences with little girls, which ticks me off, bro? That's a pet peeve of mine. I don't like people that mess with little girls, little kids. I don't do that.
Yeah.
Like, why would you support his music? Because you know that people make music off their experiences. He wrote a lot of his own music.
Yeah.
So he's writing these music and these lyrics based off of his experiences off of little kids. Cancel him. Yeah. Cancel Buddy. I'm cancel him. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's one thing I've argued with people about. Oh, maybe you kind of right. Yeah. Well, yeah, I am kind of right. The fool had a whole tape.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, people kind of bypass that. He had a whole tape, and he's been out. And now they see he's been trafficking. Like, y'all let this man get to this point, and you still, I still love this song by R. Kelly. Yeah, well, he wrote about like a little 14-year-old girl that could have been your daughter or your niece.
Yeah. I've always said there's a couple things in life that I have no wiggle room on, and rape and sexual assault and anything dealing with minors. I have zero tolerance on it whatsoever. So I agree with you, man. That could very well have been somebody's daughter. And you're right, Drake, you can't take away from his catalog. He made great music for a long time, unbeknownst to us where some of the the subject matter maybe was coming from, right? And so now you look back at some of his lyrics, they had a little bit of a different meaning to them.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. Like I can't really sit in good conscience and listen to some of his music sometimes now and not think about, damn, like that's what he was talking about.
Exactly.
So
Well, that's what gets me heated, bro. I'm the same way with you, bro. Like when it comes to hurting a woman like that, like sexual assault and stuff like that, or a child like that, bro. Like I can't tolerate it.
yeah.
I'll be the first people to come and try to burn you. Like I don't like that. Like that's always been something dear to me. And when I was a correctional officer, bro, like that was one of the toughest things in my job, having to treat a child molester the same way as I did a somebody that came in on DUI or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
You know, like that was probably the most trying thing I've ever had to do.
Yeah.
Like, knowing that's what a kid. Now you about to get out before this guy that sold some weed did. But yeah, you mess with a kid. All you gotta do is register as a sex offender, and you get to go home.
Yeah. So let me say, there's something else I want to touch on. You as a CO, man. I didn't know you were a CO until we were in I think Ohio, and we were going to maybe to the grocery store. I think whatever it was, we were going to the grocery store to pick up some food before the meet that day. Your experience as a CO, I'm pretty sure you saw a lot of stuff. Some you probably wish you could forget, and some you whatever. So as a CO, what was that like? What could you tell me, without getting us canceled off YouTube, that as a CO you were like, okay, I'll never get that shit happen?
There's so many stories, bro. Like I can talk about most of it now, but we had an issue one time. We had one of our fellow officers that passed away. Officer Webb, rest in peace, Officer Webb. He was a great dude. He had a motorcycle accident and passed away. I didn't know him that well, but I worked for somebody that did that day so he can go to his funeral. And we had just got tipped off that some guys in the pod were getting ready to smoke some synthetic. Mm-hmm. And if you know anything about synthetic weed or whatever the case may be, like, that's some bad stuff. Mm-hmm. You don't know what it's laced with. You don't know who made it, blah, blah, blah. It's bad. We get the call, we're getting ready to go in. As soon as we go in, these guys are in here tripping. And when I tell you they are tripping, they are like going in and out of consciousness, like going crazy. Me and a few other guys, we're literally carrying these guys out on our shoulders to putting them on like our golf cart, because our jail is huge. We have the second biggest jail in Indiana. And we're putting them on golf carts / gurneys because they call the ambulance. And like these dudes are freaking out. And you got like these little scrawny guys that are like, and they're going out of consciousness and they're trying to like move, and like you're trying to hold them down. And I'm like, I'm benching 600 pounds at this time. Like, I'm trying to hold this man down, and he's not budging. Yeah. Like, the craziest thing, bro, to see people on drugs going through like that. Like, I've seen people do like coke, heroin, whatever. But to see people go off synthetic, bro, that was a whole nother ball game. It's like the bath salts all over again. It's what it seemed like. Yeah. It was bad, bro. It was bad. And I've come in contact with drugs too. Actually, another reason why I left, man, we were checking mail, and mail came in, and we didn't have any gloves out where I was at checking the mail. So I'm just trying to somewhat not check it, but check it in a way, if I'm maybe honest. But I got a piece of mail and a white powdery substance got on my hand, and I instantly started freaking out. My heart's going crazy. It turns out it was fentanyl mixed with the meth. Wow. I can check it off my drug list. I did. Like that, since that day, I've had like anxiety issues, and like my blood pressure was like super, super high. It was like 190 over 1 something. Like it was like I thought I was gonna die. Like I felt like I was gonna die. So I don't know. I think a lot of people always have seen this video recently about the cop who opened the fentanyl and like had like a immediate reaction. So your experience was kind of the same thing to a degree. Like even without even taking it, just the sheer, I guess, presence of it, like kind of hit you. Hit me hard. That's crazy, bro. Hit me hard. I mean, and then of course, I saw the video of the cop who went through it, and so now learn that from you and learn that story from you. Like,
how serious it could have been.
Super serious, bro. I could have died.
That's crazy.
Died.
That's crazy, man. So you mentioned, how tough it was for you to have to handle, sexual offenders. I think we all hear the stories about when you're in jail and how the different other inmates treat sexual offenders. So would you say there's some truth to some of that? The other inmates, they kind of frown upon that to a degree. I guess it's kind of crazy because everyone in there is in there for a crime, allegedly, so they're all somewhat criminals to a degree, but it's kind of funny to how they're different degrees of criminals and how even amongst their own society, they have like, okay, if you did this though, that don't fly.
Correct. I'd say so. We definitely, there was times that somebody got. So I remember there was one issue. This guy got booked in on something totally different, but then there's a charge that just got added onto his profile for child molestation, and it got on the news. And this guy's in the day room looking at himself with this new charge. And I remember we had to get him out of there quick because when the guys called, he said, "Hey man, you better get this fucking Chomo out of here." And I was like, "Oh my god, like him out of there." So they do frown upon that big time, and I agree. But then again, like it's sad to say, bro. Like I'm very like neutral, but it's like, man, like you try not to judge, but then you do judge.
Yeah.
Like it's like it sucks, man. It's just like I'm sorry, like these dudes are here for selling weed, but you completely destroyed this child's soul.
Yeah. I just saw a post someone's Instagram a couple of days ago, and there was a guy who, ironically enough, he was talking about R. Kelly, and apparently he has the same, I think the word he used was sickness. All right, this guy used, and he was saying that for the men out there who don't have the same illness, you can't understand the desire for someone who's younger, and I agree with him. I can't understand it, right? And so I can't see how you're right. I don't understand it, man. And like you don't want to pass judgment on people because I grew up. My grandmother would always repeat to me, he without seeing cast the first stone. We've all heard that, so you can't really pass judgment. But I do agree. There's some things you just like, come on, bro. Like that's.
Come on, bro.
Yeah.
Nah, I can't rock with that statement. I can't. I'm sorry, man. Like you can be with somebody younger, but make sure she's of age.
Yeah.
Just be like still with her mommy and dad.
Yeah,
that's how I feel. Like, I mean, and girls give it up like crazy anyway. Like nowadays, man. Like it's sad to say, but like they do. Like this girls just kind of just give it up. And why would you want to like do something to a child? Like,
yeah, that's nuts.
All over the place, man. Like somebody might like you. Like you don't have to. I don't mean to speak too ill, but that's just how I feel about that.
I got you. Let's shift gears, man, back to powerlifting. So 600-pound bitch, and now you're at 7+. So that journey in there, like how did that? I mean, was it 10 pounds at a time? Was it you going there one day? Okay, I hit 650. Like, how many years did it take you to put on another 100 pounds onto a bench? Because I bring it up because I think a lot of people who don't lift or who are not a part of the sport, or even younger lifters, they look at people like yourself who come so far, and they don't account for the fact your first competition was in 2000, like you said, 12, right? Now we're 2021. You made small steps along the way. You competed 22 times. So to put 100 pounds onto a bench press, like what's that process like?
Long. Long process, man. Like it does take a lot of time, a lot of stride. And within that process, I found out that I was hormone deficient. My testosterone levels were super low. So I was still grinding and making progress while I had really nothing helping me recover.
Yeah.
So it was a tough road, but then when I found out why it was so much more tougher for me, and it's like, oh, cool, like bam. Also a coach change too helped me a lot too. So getting with Josh Bryant from Jailhouse Strong was probably the best thing that ever happened to me. So
yeah, I know you've always been transparent about, PEDs and your take on them, and so people will hear what you just said now, and they'll say, okay, well, if I just take some PEDs, yeah, right. I'll put 100 pounds on my bench press. So for that person who thinks that way, help them understand what PEDs can do for an athlete who's looking to get stronger.
So,
I guess more specifically, how little, I won't say how little, but it's not that simple. Put it that way.
No, it's not, especially for my case. So the average testosterone rate for a male, like the count, is between 300 to about 1,000. When I got mine checked, I was at 171.
Oh wow!
And when I talked to my doctor, like, why was it so low? I would say I'm overweight. So I mean that's whatever, but I'm not like I'm not a completely fat 400 pounds. Like obviously I got some muscle on me too. I can still move. I still do things. So, but I still do have a lot of body fat on me that I'm correcting. So that stress, working in the jail will definitely stress you out. You're working 12 hours a day, dealing with the same people, blah, 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 yelling, people trying to kill themselves, people fighting, stabbing each other. That's very stressful. So stress. Also, they're finding out now that the food that you eat, especially when you're younger, can really alter your hormones. So like the milk that you drink and like the type of meat that you're eating and, the cut of meat and things like that. And like, I mean, like I said, my mom, she tried her best as she could, but I mean, she didn't understand certain things that we understand nowadays. So like I used to drink 2% milk like it was water and, eat McDonald's and Burger King all the time. And, we didn't eat the best, but we were fed. So I appreciate my mom for making sure I was fed. But, now we understand like some of the foods that we did eat are screwing up our hormones, even like soy, things like that. Like, soy is horrible. It's an estrogen booster. Mm-hmm. So, So from going from 171 to back to normal levels, kickstart me to go ahead and, get to 7. I was already close to 7 naturally with nothing in my tank. Mm-hmm. And then once I got the boost up, I was okay. But I had been working so hard for it, regardless of the fact. So it's not like it's a magical thing, but my body actually needed it. And there's cats now that think that you just take it. And I know you've seen the guys. You think they can just take it. It's like your body doesn't need it. You just need to work harder.
Yeah.
Do something different. Get a different coach. But drugs don't make you necessarily better. Your work ethic has to be A1 anyway. Mm-hmm. And it's not gonna substitute for your work ethic at all. And that's where cats get the big misconception from. And it's sad to see, like, that's why you see a lot of guys, they all of a sudden stop powerlifting because they screw up their hormones so much that they can't do anything and they have to completely be off of everything. And, don't be that person. If you're looking to do that, see your doctor and see if you actually need it. Don't go to Joe Schmo, from the gym just because, he's doing it. Joe Schmo's probably making it in his basement. He's gonna make your whole body itch because he's gonna give you some bad stuff. So, it's how it is.
Yeah.
We us being in the same room with certain people, we see how things pan out for them.
So I've had people say, I wonder what does it feel like. So would you say as a feel when you were able to move to PEDs to help with your levels, or did you just experience different things like maybe better recovery? Like what do you think? What do you think about the PEDs help you get that last little bit of oomph that you needed?
There was definitely a feel for me because it was so low. Like mine was like so low. I'm just like tired all the time, and with that, I was like, okay, boom, let's go ahead and do. Because I'm not a sit around type of person. Like I don't like to sit around. I got to be moving. But at towards the end of it, I was like, maybe I'll just sit down and relax here, and I'm not gonna do anything. And blah blah blah. And now we found out what it was. Like, bam, like you feel it. Yeah. But yeah, you do have the recovery, and me, I'm already an aggressive person, so it made me like a little bit more aggressive, but nothing like roid rage like they preach about. Like you don't get roid rage unless you're taking stuff that you don't need to be taking, which most people don't. 99% of the population don't need to shouldn't even know about that stuff.
Yeah.
So there's no reason for people, roid rage. Like, no, that's not how it goes. So, yeah. But I do feel like I'm more up, and I feel good. I feel better,
Mm-hmm. So years and years and years of bench only. All right, you finally hit 700 pounds. Yeah. So now you're a 700-pound bencher, bench only competition. So you get to go to competitions and sit around and hang out, hit your 3 lifts, chill out. What made you want to say, what made you say, I want to be a crazy motherfucker, now I want to go and do a full power meet?
I think it was the athlete in me, man, that was like, I can do more.
Yeah.
And why not do more? And I've always just had the pressure of people like, hey, man, you should do full power. Like, and I've always heard that stigma, like, oh, you're just a bencher. You're just a bencher. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I could do more than that. Mm-hmm. And like hearing some of that hate talk kind of made me like, I'm gonna prove y'all wrong. And I'm glad I heard it because I love it. I'll probably do maybe a couple more bench only meets in the future, but for the most part, everything's gonna be full power.
Yeah, I know.
Now I'll probably be doing I might do a couple like bench only just to do a little bit here, but right now I love full power, bro. I love it.
Yeah, it's different. Because I've been full power my whole life. I never had a big enough bench to just go in and really and be I guess to wreck anything on a bench only meet. But I will admit, watching you, so you and I are buddies when you're bench only. We become friends by this point, and now watching when you decide you want to start doing full power. And I've never been one to offer unsolicited advice. I've never done that, right? Especially when I know people have a coach. I'll say, listen, that's your coach. It is what it is. But I sent you a few tips here and there when I would see your post. So I guess I can admire watching you go when you first start putting weight on your back as a squatter and as a deadlifter to see how much better you've gotten over in a very short period of time. So dude, you've definitely made a transition a lot of people can't make.
And I've also told people about you and Les, like a shout out to both of y'all, man. Like I have one of the best coaches in the world, but I can always take some advice from somebody else too. Like it can be something small. Like it's okay to do that, especially if somebody sees something that's wrong with you. I know you're not gonna give me you're not gonna tell me no BS, and you're not gonna, neither you or Les would. And I appreciate you guys, and I still do them planks to this day. Like program, from Josh, like we do weighted planks, like we don't play around, like, and it's helped my brace so much, and it's helped me be more stable under the bar too. And I think that's a lot of cats. I'm not gonna say no names, so I've mentioned this person before, but a lot of people don't like to take criticism, and they don't like to be told that they were wrong about something. And if you learn, you're gonna get better. That's okay. Like nobody's all perfect here. Like we're a sport that helps each other out. Like somebody's saying, hey, like maybe try this a little bit and do this, and you try it and it works. Guess what? You're better now.
Yeah.
Don't be a pansy and think that you know everything, because nobody knows everything.
Yeah, and that's a very unfortunate part about social media. And I cringe when I see young guys who just put so much weight on social media and want to be like this guy. They want to be like Larry Wheels. They want to be like TD Smash. They want to be like Julius, without knowing, number one, the person, all right, and number two, the work and the path that you've taken to get there. You talk about guys not want to take advice. I will say, think about powerlifting. Some of the best powerlifters I've met who've gone the furthest in the sport have been some of the most humble guys and the guys who receive criticism the best. It's those guys who tend to think they know everything, and I think you might agree, who they sputter out pretty quick. All of a sudden you don't see them on the scene anymore.
They're behind the scenes talking.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree with you, man. Last meet you did was a showdown. So let me read these numbers, man. So 804 squat, 716 bench, and an 854 deadlift, and barely missed 9 with 903 and 906 on the deadlift. 903. Yeah. So maybe a best performance as a full power athlete.
It was, but I went 5 for 9, and we were going for something bigger than that. But my knee's messed up, so I can only do so much.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that. So people who don't know, so you went through your full prep for the showdown, put up the numbers that I just mentioned with a 2375 total. All right. You did all this with what's going on with your knee?
My patellar tendon is torn 75% of the way.
That's crazy.
It's almost completely torn off.
This is crazy. And for those people who don't know this, he's raw. This is a raw total. So he's not wrapped. He's in sleeves only. So I mean, you squat at 804 with a torn, 75% torn patella tendon, and you pulled damn near 903 with a torn patella tendon. So what's that pain like? What did it feel like during prep? Where were you dealing with the last few weeks of prep and even the day of competition?
So let me back up a little bit. I'm pretty sure I heard it last year around this time when I was getting in prep for my. I got in prep for a meet in Canton, Ohio, in November of last year, and I was actually with Ed Cohen. It's not Ed Cohen's fault, so let me put that out there. My boy,
Don't blame Ed.
But and it wasn't his fault. I was trying to listen to him, and I wasn't picking up on the cues as I was supposed to, and I had 700 pounds on my back, and I'm warming up to get to 839 or something like that, I believe it was. And I got down, and I'm like trying to listen, and I'm not tight because I'm trying to listen. I'm not thinking about it. I'm just like trying to squat because I'm thinking, oh, I got this, thing. I get down, boom, and my left knee pops. And I'm like, ow. And I'm still in the hole. But me being me, I'm in front of Ed and all these other people. I got to get this bitch back up.
Yeah.
I was coming back up. I get it up there, and I'm in pain. Like, I'm in a lot of pain. I'm like, I don't know what I did, but I'm still going to move, whatever. I continue to squat. I did a set after that, and then I got to my top set, and I got it. It was like 839. I got that done. However, I was in a lot of pain. I did that meet, 2 weeks after that, where I squatted 804 again. I'm stuck on 804 like crazy. And it was painful. It's been painful for about a year. And then recently for this meet for the showdown, I doubled 800 for 2. And it felt great. Like I feel like I had like another 2 reps in me for it. I just been feeling real strong, but I still been, having pain. The next week we were going to go for 840 for a double. And I was warming up with 800. Same thing happened. I was still tight and everything, got down. As soon as I got down, pop. My knee popped again. Got it up like an idiot. I probably should let them take it from me. But I got it up. But you know how it is, being prideful, still get the weight back up. And as soon as I rocked the weight, like I turned around, I like kind of fell to the ground. So I couldn't really move my leg. It was hurting that bad. Like I had people help me get my knee sleeves off because I couldn't pull at the time because it hurt so bad. And I got a shot from my doctor to just kind of get the inflammation down because we weren't sure what was up. But he said he was like, I'm gonna give you a shot. One reason why I'm gonna give you a shot is if you promise me to get an MRI and go get this knee looked at. So I did it such after we got done with the meet, and turns out my patella is torn and 75% of the way.
So the next step, I guess, was surgery, repaired?
Yeah, I'm scheduling surgery Monday, but because it's a partial tear, not a complete full tear, I don't think I'll be out super long because for a full patella tear, it's like 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
But I think it's because it's partial, I shouldn't be that bad. Maybe 6 months tops.
I got you.
But I plan on just doing my PT and being smart about it because I'm gonna come back, and now that I'm gonna have an actual full knee to squat with, I think I'll squat more than 804 like we planned on.
Dude, that's going crazy. I mean, the fact you put up the numbers you put up with a torn patella. I mean, I've had a torn patella, so I know what those feel like. And
oh, you did?
Yeah, I tore mine. Tore mine back in college. I partially tore mine, and
How was that for you?
It wasn't horrible, man. It was a partial tear, and I had a condition that they call lock knee. What happened is mine tore. And for those who don't know, the patella, I tore my meniscus. But I tore my patella after I tore the meniscus. So backing up, for those who don't know, my left knee's been cut on 3 times in my life. two ACL replacements, a meniscus tear, and patella damage. And so when it tore the meniscus, it that's for you who don't know, it's the cartilage between your knee joints that helps pretty much cushion your joints. It lapped on top of itself, and I couldn't lock my knee out because now my knee's only able to go about 75% of the way. In the process of doing it, I tore my patella as well. So yeah, I've been there, man. I definitely feel you. And you're right. I mean, they'll fix you up. I think you told me a couple days ago we were talking over the guys over Notre Dame, the doctors over Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So you got some of the best doctors. Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to him, man. That's my homie. So he gonna fix me up pretty good, man. He's one of the best. So
yeah. Sweet, bro. So the vaccine. What do you think about what's your take on the vaccine? I mean, that's like the elephant in every room I walk into nowadays. So
it is. Okay, and I'm very, I'm open about everything. So I caught the vaccine. I caught the virus.
They caught it. Catch it.
I caught it back in September of last year, right before the meet I did November. Like probably 10 weeks out of that meet, I caught it, and I had a fever for 3 days. Day 4, I was fine. I didn't lose no taste. Obviously, I don't lose taste being a big boy. And I lost my smell. So I couldn't smell anything for a little while. But I got back and I recovered pretty well. And I lost a bunch of weight, which was fine with me. I didn't want to lose it that way, but I lost weight, whatever. It was definitely different, man. So, but from what I know about viruses, because I paid attention in some classes, once you get viruses, you have the antibodies from it. And me and my doctor talked about this, like, because I was like, "Do you think I need to get the shot?" And he said, "No, because you already have the antibodies." I'm around a lot of people, man, and he explained this to me too. He said, first of all, you have 3 underlying conditions where you could have died. I'm overweight. What was the other 2? I got asthma, and something else. I forget what he said, but because I have 3 underlying conditions, I could have easily died and went to the hospital, blah, blah, but because I take care of myself, I eat right, I exercise, things like that. I mean, wash my hands, but I'm also around a lot of people. Like, you're fine. So, if I want to get the shot, it's always available for me. But right now, I'm just not going to do it because I have the antibodies anyway.
Yeah.
And from what I'm hearing, people getting these symptoms from the shots, and it's kind of weird to me. But at the same time, I am not a doctor or a scientist who studies the coronavirus or COVID. I don't know. I'm not going to be Joe Smo off of Facebook that heard from Joe Blow off of Facebook that the virus is going to give you a chip in your arm. I'm just going to try stuff like that, because I've heard that before. And some people were super serious, especially up here in the Midwest. But I'm not saying that it doesn't work. But at the same time, like, I keep myself pretty healthy, and if I can just continue to keep myself healthy, it's more of a motivation to keep healthy and stay active. Even with me being down, like, I'm gonna be okay. So,
yeah. I mean, I'm like you, man. I'd rather people just be educated. I'm not pro-vaccine or anti-vaccine. I couldn't care less one with the other. I certainly am not gonna get upset at somebody who doesn't do it or who does do it. I had it too. So I had it last November as well, man. I caught COVID, and dude, it kicked my ass for about a week, and I did lose my taste, which was kind of weird, and lost my smell. But yeah, man. I don't understand I don't understand, disliking another individual because of their views on something. Kind of going back to what we talked about earlier in the conversation. You're talking about child molestation or something like that, sexual assault, murder, that's something totally different. But me disliking somebody because they don't want to get a shot, I can't quite get with that. Now it's funny you talk about having asthma. I saw your page, you're a fellow CPAPper. I am too, right? So and for those who don't know, a lot of athletes, especially professional powerlifters, we tend to have sleep apnea. We carry a lot of weight. Of course, you're a much bigger guy than I am, but I walk away during competition. I walk around during competition time between 280, 290. A lot more weight than I need to have on my frame, and it caused me to have sleep apnea. Number one, I'm gonna have to challenge you. Do you wear your machine like you should?
No.
Yeah, I don't either, bro.
I was doing really well for a while, and then I caught COVID, and I started just kind of stopped wearing it, and then it was off and on, and I just completely stopped. But I will say, the week of the meet or a few days before the meet, I will wear it.
Yeah. I don't wear mine like I should, and even just this week I started wearing it again. I've never been fortunate enough to say, okay, I have that night and day different feel when I wear it, but I do see my blood pressure go up when I don't wear it. And I do tend to have wake up with headaches sometimes. But I strongly encourage people, anybody who's watching this video, if your doctor has assigned you a CPAP machine, and I'm sure TD will probably agree, you should wear it. Please wear it. Yeah. But I was just curious to know what your take on the CPAP deal was. I know most of us have them as professional powerlifters. So.
Oh, yeah. So. Yeah, I should definitely wear mine more. I think mine has a recall on it, so I gotta take mine back. So that's my excuse. I got a recall on mine. So.
I feel you, bro. So another thing I noticed on your page, you're into guns. And maybe that's part of your, you kind of have been a little bit of that country boy. Your current gun collection. What are you sitting like, man?
I'm right now. I only got 2 right now.
Okay.
I got 2. So I have a Smith & Wesson SD40. That's like my basic right now. But I'm actually looking to switch to 9mm Glock because I'm a big Glock fan. I love Glocks. That's the first gun I shot for, with a long time because of county and working at the jail. We had to learn how to shoot, and I just love how Glocks feel. I'm very, very accurate with Glocks. But then also with 9s too, I got a 40 cal. It's gonna put you down. But if I have more rounds in my, especially with everything going on, bro, you don't know. I carry even. Unfortunately, I carry when I go to church. And there was that time where, what was it? How many churches been shot up since?
It's crazy, right? Crazy, man.
There was that time that one kid came down in the church in North Carolina or whatever, and he started shooting. That guy in Texas that came in and started blowing people. It was no. I'm sorry, but I carry everywhere I go, and I got my license, and I will defend myself if need be. So
yeah. My dad always joked about when he was a kid how my great grandfather and the old men used to all carry a gun to church. It's just what they did, man. So never know. Now
down there.
Yeah. A little bit different.
a little different. But I see why.
yeah, a little different time. So you said talk about carrying a gun for protection. I know you talked about Bryson earlier. Now you have Malcolm. Malcolm's your little homie, right? So when you became a father, man, and I kind of we'll wrap it up after this. Or being a father, how did that change your life? Or should I say being a father to your own child for the first time and kind of having a second chance? Well, I think you kind of talked in one of your posts about almost having a second chance with Malcolm, after losing Bryson.
Definitely is a second chance for me, bro. And it just really makes me grind harder, bro. I have him to think about, all my accolades and everything. Everything I do in the gym, I can't take days off. I can't slack because he's gonna have somebody to look up to. I gotta work on getting this paper right. I gotta really work on this craft because those guys aren't getting paid. We know this, and why not me? I want to be able to get paid a lot more than I am while I'm still working a regular job because I'm not no dummy. Anything can happen, as you see. I got a so I'm gonna be down for a while, but I want to be able to say, hey, I've done something. I have something to show for. So I'm cool with that. But he's motivated me a lot, man, to just really stay to it.
Yeah. I remember when you first told me y'all were respecting, man. I could see in your face, dude, you were like a kid before Christmas. You were super stoked about it.
I love being a dad, bro. I talk to Adrian, my wife, all the time about this, and I talk to my mom, even my friends too. I don't see how cats can have a child and not want to be around their kids. Like that's just me. I get you busy, you work, that's different. But like just not wanting to be around them, like not coming to see them, and you're in the same town. Like you're crazy. I want to see my boy every day. There's times I want to call off work, miss some money just to go get my boy. Like I've contemplated like just like I'm not feeling too good. I'm sick.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go get my boy. You know, seriously.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome, bro. Man, it's very admirable. Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate to have my father in my life. You were fortunate to have yours, so you know the importance of having a father around, man. So definitely dope.
I had my dad for long, but the time I did have him, bro, like I loved him, man. I loved having my dad. Like that was my dog. That was my road dog. So
I feel you. So what's next on the agenda, man? Surgery, out for a few months. I'm sure you'll still train, you know, at least on your bench and everything else. But what's your goal? I mean, once you come back from surgery, once you're back 100%, what are you eyeing? What numbers are you eyeing? I know a lot of guys don't like to do that. If you don't, it's cool. Do you have any numbers in mind you're eyeing? Any goals, any records that you really want to kind of break? Anything that you just have on your to-do list per se?
On 500.
500.
2,500.
Oh, 25. I think you passed 500 a long time ago. Long time ago. That would be epic, dude. 2,500 raw total?
979.
That's crazy. I think you definitely got 9 on your deadlift. 100% healthy. Me watching you squat, definitely think you can get that, man.
Yeah. And once I get 900 in sleeves, I'll let you know the secret. I mean, ain't gonna be no secret no more. But I'll probably go back to wraps for 1 more week.
Okay.
Just to see how things feel.
No, I'll say this last thing I'll say about you, man, and this is why I admire you so much about being a full power lifter. It's so few people, number one, who've ever bench pressed 700 pounds. That's number one. All right. And most guys who have, they tend to be bench only guys. Not to take anything away from bench only, because bench only, I mean, it definitely that's a craft and an art in itself. But for you to be able to be, and then even beyond the 700-pound fraternity of guys, most lifters tend to be one-dimensional or maybe two-dimensional. And I think I remember telling you when I first met you that one of my main goals was I always want to be a well-rounded lifter on all 3 lifts. I didn't want to be known for a big bench or a big squat. And I think I'm watching you kind of come into your own where you're just as equally as impressive on the deadlift and the bench deadlift and the squat as you are on your bench press. So, man, 979, bro, that'll be stupid as a raw competitor. So I'm looking forward to it, man.
I think we'll get there, man. Once I get this knee strong again and continue to push it, bro. I have faith in my obviously my surgeon and my PT team. We're all ready to go. So we're just ready to get cut open and start everything. And I think once I come back, people are really I don't want to say this in a weird way or cocky way, but I've noticed too that I don't really get some of the credit I deserve. That's okay. I'm gonna earn it even more than maybe that I've probably needed to, but I'm gonna really make some people look at me like, oh shit, like here he is again.
Yeah.
I'm already thinking about my comeback right now, bro. Like I'm already thinking about it. I'm obsessing about it. Like I told you. When I tell you I obsess. Like I think about what I'm doing, how I'm gonna come back. Like every moment leading up to this, like I'm thinking about it. I'm just thinking about it.
Yeah.
And I'm obsessed about it. And I think that's what makes my game better, because I am obsessed about it. Look at Jordan. I'm Jordan. Look at Kobe. Guys like that, very obsessive individual, but look at how successful they were. They're so obsessive.
Yeah.
I'm a LeBron fan, but I like the obsessiveness. Even LeBron to a fault too, man. Like, dude puts in $1 million just for recovery. Like, what other athletes do on that one?
I would say that's obsessive. I would definitely say that.
$1 million every year on recovery. And that's why he's doing what he's doing at year 20.
Yeah.
20 years in the NBA.
Yeah.
Crazy. Still dunking on that.
Yeah, man. It's and you're right. I mean, I think to be a great in anything, you gotta obsess your art. And I call anything a person does, it's an art to that person.
Yeah.
Kobe, Jordan, talk about LeBron now. And I don't think people give LeBron the credit, and I was guilty of it for a while too. I wanted LeBron to have that killer instinct that Jordan and Kobe had, but I think he has it just in a different way. So I definitely give LeBron a lot more respect now. But man, yeah, bro, I'm excited to see your recovery. I think the journey is going to be crazy going forward. Whenever you do break the record, I won't say break the record. Whenever you do hit 979, hopefully I'm in the building. I want to be there so I can see it. So, but that, man, look, man, I appreciate having you on, TD. The very first interview here in the Colosseum. And you were gracious enough to give me the interview, man. I called you. You said immediately you would do it. Take time out of your day to do it, man. I definitely appreciate it. Sure, we'll link up again soon. We hadn't had a chance to see each other since the competition in Indiana a couple of years ago with everything being shut down. But I hope to get with you soon, man. We'll make some stuff happen, bro.
Hopefully I'll be mobile by we'll be able to walk and stuff and do some stuff around, let's say, Arnold time. So I do want to go to Arnold next year coming up, so I probably won't be able to do shit, but maybe I'll go to the cage and Larson press like 600 pounds or something like that.
That's crazy. Yeah, it is always fun to get around all the family. I call it the family, man, because you guys have kind of become my extended family to a degree. You, Julius, all of us, man. It's crazy how we all come from different backgrounds, and it's one thing that ties us together. But we just all, and I'll admit, I mean, I've come across guys, not to say that these are bad people, but I've come across guys over the 10 years of me doing this that we're still acquaintances, we're still real cool, but it's only a few people who I was like, you know what, I really fuck with these dudes. Like we rock. And so again, I appreciate it, man. I'll catch up with you a little bit later, bro. I'm gonna let you get out of here, man. Go handle some business. But I definitely appreciate it once again.
Of course, my bro.
All right, man. Be good, bro.